So what does it actually take to be a high-impact full-stack developer these days? I'll give you a hint. It's not just about the programming languages you know. We're going to break down the 3 essential pillars that are going to define success for years to come.
Yeah, let's just get this out of the way. It's a very well-paid gig. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics says the median pay is over $127,000 a year. But listen, to actually climb that ladder and get to the top, you've got to have more than just slick coding skills. The competition? It's intense. And that's exactly why we need to talk about these 3 pillars.
So what's the secret sauce? What really separates a good developer from a truly great one? Well, it's not just one magic bullet. It's about mastering a mix of 3 things. 3 pillars that are totally distinct, but also, as you'll see, completely connected.
All right, let's dive into pillar number 1. This is the bedrock, right? It's all about mastering the craft. This isn't just about knowing what to build, it's about knowing how to build it right, how to build it to last.
You know, building a modern application isn't just some chaotic free-for-all of coding. It's a real journey with clear steps. You got to start with that solid foundation, getting your environment and database set up. And then you move through the whole process: UX design, building the back-end engine, crafting that interactive front-end, getting it deployed, and of course, keeping it healthy once it's out there. Every single step just builds on the one before it.
Okay, so when we talk about the front end, everything the user actually sees and clicks on, there are a couple of absolute giants in the room. React is the king for building those snappy user interfaces, with almost half of all developers using it. And here's something interesting. Node.js, which is usually a back-end thing, is also a huge player on the front end now, powering all the tools that build our projects.
Now, let's look at the back end, the engine room, where all the magic happens behind the scenes. Node.js is still a huge deal here, which is great because it lets you use JavaScript everywhere. But honestly, the big headline is Python. It has just exploded, jumping up by 7 percentage points. And why? Well, you can probably guess. AI and data science are taking over, and Python is the language that powers them.
And this brings up one of the most fundamental choices you have to make. Where and how are you going to store your data? It's a huge decision. Do you go with a traditional SQL database with its super structured, consistent setup? That's perfect for things like financial transactions where you can't afford any mistakes. Or do you need the wild flexibility and insane scalability of NoSQL? That's what you want for the messy, unstructured data that's everywhere today.
Okay, so the last piece of this whole mastering the craft puzzle is actually getting your app out there to the world. And today, that pretty much means one thing: containers. Tools like Docker are now the gold standard. Why? Because they finally solved that age-old developer nightmare of, well, it works on my machine. By bundling the app with everything it needs to run, it just works, everywhere. And that's not just a nice idea. Over 90% of companies are doing it this way.
Well, look, being a technical genius isn't the whole story, not even close. That brings us to pillar number 2, the human element. Because let's be real, software is built by people for people. And how you work with those people is every bit as crucial as the code you write.
And this is the real kicker. Imagine you have 2 developers, and their coding skills are identical. Who gets the job? The one with the better soft skills. It's the ultimate tiebreaker. Your ability to talk to people, to work together, to roll with the punches, that's what turns a good coder into an indispensable part of the team and a future leader. And trust me, employers are all over this. A mind-blowing 91.2% of them say problem solving is the #1 skill they're hunting for. And we're not just talking about squashing a simple bug here. This is about real analytical thinking, about being thrown a messy, ambiguous problem and being able to figure it out, usually with your team.
The problem solving isn't an island, right? It's part of a whole family of essential soft skills. The developers who really crush it, they're amazing communicators. They're incredible team players. They can adapt when everything changes, which it always does. And they have the emotional intelligence to handle the stress and friction that comes with any big project. All these skills, they feed into each other.
So when we say communication, what do we actually mean? It's not just geeking out with other engineers. It's about being a translator. You have to be the bridge between the super technical stuff and the business goals. You have to be able to explain why you made a choice and what that means for the deadline, the budget, and what the customer is actually going to see.
And that brings us to our 3rd and final pillar, which is thinking at scale. This, my friends, is the big one. This is what separates the person who just writes code from the person who designs the whole system. It's all about moving beyond the how and understanding the why.
See, the best of the best, they don't just think about one little piece of code. They think about the entire system. It's like they're playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. They're always thinking 10 moves ahead, wondering how all the pieces connect and whether the whole thing is going to collapse when a million users show up at once.
A perfect example of this is scaling. So, how do you handle more users? Do you scale up by just buying a bigger, beefier server? I mean, it's simple, but eventually you're going to hit a ceiling. Or do you scale out by adding more and more servers? It's way more complicated to manage, for sure, but it's really the only way you can build something that can handle massive, worldwide traffic.
And that right there is the real job of a senior developer. It's not about just cranking out features faster than anyone else. No, they are the guardians of the system's future. They're constantly thinking, how much of a pain is this going to be to maintain a year from now? They explain the pros and cons of every choice, and they make those tough strategic calls. Should we build this ourselves, buy a tool that does it, or just wait?
Okay, so there you have it, our 3 pillars: mastering the craft, the human element, and thinking at scale. Let's wrap this up and see how it all fits together. So here's the blueprint, laid out plain and simple. You need the craft to know how to build things. You need the human element to deal with who you're building with and for, and you absolutely need to think at scale to understand why you're making the choices you're making. Real, true mastery. It's not in any one of these. It's where all 3 come together.
So I'll leave you with this question. It's so easy to get buried in just the code, in just the technical stuff. But take a step back and ask yourself, are you building your career on all 3 of these pillars, or are you just leaning on one? Because at the end of the day, the developers who build on all 3 aren't just the ones who succeed, they're the ones who end up leading the entire industry. So, which pillar are you going to work on next?